Mute myself. Sorry, you guys didn't hear it home on the recording. We're going to go to crmls.org. You're going to log in. You're going to click on My Matrix. And it takes you to the MLS. We're not going to go over the MLS. That we did a separate class on that. So what we're first going to do is, let's say we received a phone call from a potential seller. In this example, the seller of 1109 Solvay Isle in Irvine, California. And this is in West Park. Our office is in West Park. That's why I picked a property close here. And they call you up and say, "Hey, Anthony, I'm thinking about selling my house. Can you give me an idea about how much it's worth and what you can do for me?" Sure. Okay, so you're going to look up comps. Again, next week we're going to have a guest that's going to tell you guys how to prepare for the CMA, what questions to ask, and then how to go through the actual listing presentation. This class is, again, only to come up with the CMA. So now that you know the property address, you know the owner's name that you're talking to because they told you what their name is. Hopefully you asked them by now. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into the MLS and we're going to go look up realist tax right here. Oh, that's not good. We want to know who the owner of the property is. Did we speak to the owner of the property? So then we're going to click on search at the top. I'm going to type in address. Select it. Click on search. And hopefully the person I spoke to on the phone was Nina, the owner of the property. So I'm going to print this out. It's going to give me an idea of how many bedrooms, baths, square footage, when they bought it, all that good stuff, right? Year built, type of property, it's a condo. So I'm going to print this out. I'm going to have this available. And then the next thing I want to do after I have this is I want to search the MLS to see if this has ever been listed in the MLS, which it probably has. And so I'm going to type in the address. You can either type it up here. If you type the address up here, it's going to show you anytime it's been listed for sale, or it's been sold, or it's been canceled or expired. If you type in the address in this section on the right, it's going to show you anytime it's been listed for sale or for lease.
So question, so before starting the selling, like every house has an information in MLS?
Well, what we first looked up was the realist tax. So this is a tax record, so public records.
Public.
Yeah, so that's where you get the information from.
Okay.
In the MLS, it doesn't mean every house is in the MLS, has been listed in the MLS. Maybe it's an original owner and they've never sold it.
Yeah.
And the MLS only goes back so far. So I'm not sure how many years it is, but I've been in the industry for 20 years, and back then, we didn't have this. It was like a few years before I got into the industry, they had books of listings. So it was a binder with printouts of all the listings that they gave each office, I think, once a month. So,
book.
You have a question?
No, I said I love the book.
Oh, Harriet knows about the book. Yeah, tell us about the book, Harriet.
Well, we used to get the book, and then we weren't supposed to share it with clients, but I had a lot of relocation clients, and I'd take it to their hotel and I'd highlight what we were going to see the next day, and they'd cross through them if they didn't want to see them. When I started, there were no computers or no cell phones.
So no internet, no anything.
No, nothing, just the book.
And then eventually we got to computers, right? Where we had a DOS-based program where it's just a black and white screen where you had to hit tab to go to the next field and tab to type the street name, all that stuff. Anyway, the MLS only goes so far back as far as listings go. Thank you, Harriet. And so let's look this up using the address bar up here or the search bar up here. All you need is the number and the street name. No direction, no anything else, no city, just the number, street number, and the street name. Here we go. It shows us every time it's been sold. The most recent one is from 2017, so that's probably when she purchased it. So then what I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna click on it. I'm also gonna print this out for reference. Again, it confirms it's 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, 1,000 square feet, 2-car detached garage. It's 1 level. Year built. It's gonna tell me how much the HOA is. There's 2 HOAs here. Any information I might need, who the agent was that sold it, who listed it, things like that. So I'm gonna print that as well. So now I have the real estate tax report and I have the old MLS printout. And it also tells me this is in West Park and then in the Brio division or West Park area and Brio tract. So when I search for comparable properties, I'm gonna focus on that specific area. So let's go back to the home page here. Excuse me. I'm gonna go to search, residential, detail. I'm gonna look for anything that's active under contract, pending, closed. And I usually don't add this, but I'm gonna start adding this expired. The reason we're gonna add expired is because when you're sitting down with the seller and you're showing them, hey, look, this is what's on the market, this is how long they've sat on the market for, and this is how they're priced. You're gonna show them, hey, these are the ones that just recently sold. This is how many days it took them to sell. This is the price that it sold at. And then I'm gonna show them expired. These are the ones that expired. This is how many days they were on the market, and this is what they were priced at. This tells a story to them, right? If you're overpriced, it's not gonna sell. It's gonna sit on the market, it's gonna expire. If it's overpriced, you're gonna see that these properties had 3 price reductions until they got realistic and brought it down to what it's supposed to be, and then it sold, so forth. So we're gonna add that to it. So we're check marking all these. This goes back 6 months. Let's see what it brings up at 6 months. It automatically, when you check the box for closed and expired, it automatically says 0 to 100 days back to 6 months. Let's just leave that. If there's not enough listings, then we're gonna go further back. If there's too many, then we're gonna cut it down to 3 months. So we're gonna type in Orange County or select it from the list. And then either select Irvine from the list or type it in. It's just faster for me to type it. And then MLS area, we're gonna say West Park, because we know it's in West Park. And this property is a 2-bedroom. So we're gonna select 2 bedrooms. We don't wanna compare baths because the agents don't always enter the correct information. They might have 2 baths when it's a 1.5 bath, or 3 baths when it's 2.5 baths. So we're just gonna leave that alone. We're gonna compare it to 2 bedrooms. And the square footage is 1,000 square feet. We're gonna compare it to properties that are a couple hundred square feet less, a couple hundred square feet more. So we're gonna say 800 square feet to 1,200 square feet. Oops. So within these fields, you could do a specific number or a range. You could say 2 to 3 bedrooms, or just 2 bedrooms, right? And then same thing for square footage. I could just say, show me everything that's 1,000 square feet, which is only gonna show me 1,000 square foot homes, or a range between 800 to 1,200 square feet. So now we have 18 matches. Let's look at the map. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna say, I know what the address is, so I wanna do within half a mile of 1109 Solvay. Oops, too many numbers. And then select it from the list. That brought us down to 9 matches. So you guys got all this, right? One more thing I want to do here, because it's a condo. I want property type, condominium. Brought us down to 8 matches. And this condo is attached. I'm gonna leave that alone. Unattached or detached for now. Then I'm gonna click on map. Let me just recap this. The status active, anything that's on the market, active under contract, pending. That means listings that are in escrow. We don't know what they sold for until they close, but we could use that to see how many days they were on the market and see the history of the price reductions if there were any. And then we're gonna use the closed. We're going back 6 months to show them this is what the comparable property sold for. So most likely these are probably around the prices that you want to list at. And again, how long they were on the market for, and then expired because we want to show them these didn't sell because it could have been the price, it could have been anything, right? But we want to show them that. Property type, condominium. And then I'm selecting within half a mile of the subject property that we're looking at. In Orange County, Irvine. It's got to be in West Park. And then we're looking for 2 bedrooms within between 800 and 1,200 square feet. I like to click on the map first to see that these properties are located around. See, like these over here, they're too far. This is in a different tract, so I might not want to use that one. So when I'm here, I might just want to click on the polygon tool here and then create my own shape. And this is probably the neighborhood that I want to outline to use to compare properties. Because properties around across the street or in a different neighborhood, they might have been built by, different year, by different builder, different types of homes, maybe single family or whatever. In this case, we selected condos, so it's showing us condos. So then what I'm going to go back and do, now that I selected the area that I want to select comps from, I'm going to go back to criteria. And then just, oh, did it clear it already? Or I could just hit the middle and then say delete shape. So I'm deleting that circle area. So this should be a little more accurate. Then we're going to click on results. And we're going to look at these other listings. This is a model match right here. It's 1,000 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. This one could be a model match. They might just have different square footage, but they're all within, a couple hundred square feet, which we can use. So let's look at the properties. Go through the pictures. This is in Brio. It's exactly the same track that we're looking for. Again, this is a little bit bigger, but it's okay. We can use that. And so we're also looking at average price per square foot, which in this case is $800. Average price per square foot, $896. So keep in mind, guys, that the bigger the house is, square footage wise, the less it's going to cost per square foot. The smaller the house is, the more it's going to cost per square foot.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. So in this case, it's 1,009 square feet. It's more, right? Because it's smaller. This other one is same thing, 1,009 square feet. So 872 per square foot.
Okay. Why is that?
Because the people can more afford, and then for the rent and everything, like whatever is bigger, I feel like
It's less per square foot,
Yeah.
but you still pay more for it.
Oh, you're still paying more for it?
Yeah, but if
because
you were to pay-
overall, the square footage
Yeah.
is more. Okay.
So if you were to pay, like, let's say this is 1,186 square feet. And let's say you do 1,186 times, the other one was 875 square feet, as per square foot. $875 per square foot equals. This would have sold for $1,037,000, but it sold for $865,000.
Mm.
So the square, it doesn't make sense. Not for a couple hundred square feet or a little under a couple hundred square feet. Okay, you know what? I like all these properties, so I'm just gonna go back to the one line display here. Let's say these are good comps. Let me see. This one expired. Okay. Wow, I wonder what's wrong with this one. It must be pretty bad.
It's not that bad.
Well, let's look inside.
Inside, yeah.
That's not,
That's
I'm saying,
nice.
it was bad.
It's nice.
see, was there a price reduction?
Was it too
There were
small?
no price reductions either. It was 814
It's small.
square feet.
I think there's a weird
The
name. for it.
price per square feet is 900.
There's a dog that barks all day.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. So this is weird. Yeah, so actually, you know what, guys, this is something, it was only in the market for 34 days, so maybe they just took it off the market.
Good morning.
Let's look at the history. So remember I told you guys that when you look at days on market, it tells you a story of what happened with the listing? Let's look at it. It went active in July, and then they put it on hold in August, and they brought it back to active again, and then they withdrew it. So maybe the seller decided not to sell.
They just decided, yeah.
But sometimes when they put it on hold, maybe the seller's thinking, maybe I don't want to sell, I'm not sure, and then, okay, yeah, and you get a lot of those clients.
A lot of
Yeah.
wishy-washy.
So, or maybe they received offers and they were reviewing them, and then they decided, we don't like these offers, and they went back on the market. So sometimes agents will put the property on hold when they're reviewing offers, because if you don't put it on hold, then the days on market keep counting, right? But if you put it on hold, it pauses the days on market. So let's say you got an offer, you got 10 offers last week on Wednesday, the days on market stop when you put it on hold. So now you're going through every day reviewing, maybe it's a week later, that's 7 more days that it would have been days on market.
Makes it look worse.
So then
Yeah.
after that, they accepted and gonna be impending, so it's
It could-
different.
Well, so some agents they change it to active under contract,
Mhm.
and so you can still show the property, but agents know it's an escrow, but you can still show the property and submit a backup offer. And usually agents will change the status to pending once all contingencies are removed. So after 17 days, usually. Okay, so let's say I like all these. I don't want to use this one. I'm not going to use this one because it was only on the market for 34 days and it was on hold and we don't know what happened. So I'm not going to use this one. So it's good to look through these. So in this example, I'm going to select all of them except for that one. And now that I have the property selected, I'm going to click on Cloud CMA down here at the bottom. And the first time you guys click on Cloud CMA, it's going to have you guys register, create an account, and it's free. It's included with what you pay for your MLS fees and car fees and all that. And then if it doesn't, after you create your account, you might have to close out of it and then go back to the MLS and then click on Cloud CMA again, so it opens up the way you see it here. Oh, what this does is it pulls the MLS data into this website, and it creates a report, generates a report for you. It does like a nice, kind of pleasant to the eye presentation of the listings, the pictures, the features on the listings, and then it generates reports on average price per square foot, average sold price, average days on market, suggested list price, all these different things, right? So we'll see that in a second. So the title of the report is, I'm going to call it, what's the owner's name? What did we say the owner's name was? Nina? Okay, let's just say her name is, let me make up a name because this is going to go on the internet. Okay. So let's say it's going to be Jane Smith. So this report is for Jane Smith, and it's on this property address. Come on. And when I select it, it's going to auto-populate, right? Cool. Yeah, this is not the square footage. I'm showing 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
What did the tax records show? Do you guys remember? It was 1,000, right? So I'm going to say it's 1,000 square feet. Okay. Now, after I fill this in, I'm going to click on Fetch Listings. And now it's pulling the data from the MLS on the listings that I brought over. Okay, so I mapped them out. Here's the subject property, this pin, and then these are the properties around that I'm comparing it to. Click on Customize Report. You can add a suggested list price here if you want to. I wouldn't do it because you want to have an idea, maybe a price range. You haven't looked at the owner's house yet, subject property's house yet, or the condition of the property. So I wouldn't give a price yet until you've gone through the property, but you want an idea of a range between this and this price, but I wouldn't write it in here. Customized report. And the first time you do this, it's going to have tons of pages in here. So each one of these is a page. If you click on the little eye right there, it's a preview. It shows you what the page looks like. Sorry to scare you guys. I'm sorry to scare you guys. Okay, that's the cover page, right? Or that's not the cover page. That's the contact me page. And then there's going to be a map of this the listings. So it shows you where each listing is located, along with the listings and the property addresses. And so you can go through and preview everything. What I did the first time was I just downloaded the PDF and then just took out what I didn't want and then came back here and then left only what I wanted. But if you want more pages, you have all these to choose from. You can add all these pages there. There's more there, all these pages. But this is too much. This is overwhelming. I mean, you want to give them a book to read, get them a top seller, bestseller from Amazon or something. They just want to know what the house is worth and what you're going to do for them, how you're going to market their property. So with these pages selected, I'm going to go ahead and click on Publish Report. You can also change the theme, like different colors. Like I use this black and blue one. There's different colors that you could select, different layouts, different fonts, things like that. I like what I'm using, so I'm just going to click on Publish Report. And let it generate. PDF is done, so I'm going to click on View PDF. And this is what the report looks like. This is a CMA for this property for Jane Smith, created March 12th. And then I'm going to go to the next page. Sorry to scare you guys. It's got my contact information. It's got the map, where they're located. Summary of comparable properties. So it's got the average square footage, average sold price, average price per square foot. It's pretty low on the sold. And then average for the active listings, average square footage, average price per square foot. Now we're going to show the listings. And I recommend that you print these out with all the pictures because you want to show the homeowner what their competition is and what the other homes look like that sold, right? Say, hey, does your house look like this? They got this much because their house was fully upgraded. Here's the pictures to show it. Or they didn't get as much as you would get because their house was not upgraded. It was all original. There were broken windows, whatever the case may be, but you have pictures to support that, right, as evidence. And maybe they're going to say, oh, my house looks better than that. They might. So you're going to show them all the pictures and say, look at this, and let's keep going.
So already, like, without clicking on all those things, you have a lot of pages of pictures and stuff. So it's
But
already like
this is more important than all that other stuff. Like, what's the CMA? What's you'll see the page. There's a bunch of just fluff that they have to read through.
Yeah.
So the analysis is there were 2 sold listings. This is the average price per square foot, average sold price, average days on market on the sold. And this is to prepare them too, right? You're setting this up to let them know, hey, these took about average of 74 days on the market to sell. Be ready for that because that could happen. And then it tells you what average days on market is on the active listings. So these are fairly newer.
It is in the last 6 months, right? This information, like the solding to sold, it's in the last 6 months, right? Because we sell it for 6
Yes.
months.
Well, yeah, we asked it to give us only the last 6 months worth of data. And then the average list price, average price per square foot went up. And just to show you here, the properties on average sold over 100% of the asking price with the average days, 74 days in the market. So average list price was this, average sold price was $1,000 more, looks like.
So 2.5 months on the market.
Yeah.
That's the average. Is that the average?
According to
Or
this,
one? I mean,
according to this neighborhood, this particular neighborhood.
Orange County is pushing to 90 days.
But it depends how you price it
But
too, right?
every single city is.
But here we have evidence to show, hey, look, this is what's going on in this particular neighborhood. So average price per square foot is around 813 on the sold. So here's your report, right? This is what you want to show them. But along with this, you want to include what your marketing plan is. What are you going to do to market the property? What are you going to do for them that's going to make you stand out from every other agent, right? You're going to include it within this. Maybe you have a separate marketing plan, or you can include this all together and go over it and say, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to pay for a professional photographer. You're going to put a for sale sign. You're going to host open houses for the first 4 weekends, Saturday and Sunday. You're going to create a professional property flyers that you're going to put in the property. You're going to send out just listed postcards to the neighborhood 2 or 3 times within the listing period. You're going to do all these things, right? You're going to send an email blast to thousands of realtors within Orange County and Los Angeles County promoting the listing. So you're going to tell them everything you're going to do. And you want to do this before you talk about commission and all that stuff, because you want them to know what you're going to do for them up front. So that when the commission question comes up, they're not going to ask, well, why are you making so much? Or what are you doing to earn this? I just told you what I'm going to be doing to earn this. I don't get paid unless this property sells. So I'm doing all this for free, right? Until then. So any questions on this?
What's the price we have to suggest based on this information, like for them to sell? What's our suggestion gonna be?
I would say these are listed at 914. I would say between this and this price, a price range, tell them between that, but then you have to look at the property. And then you can determine, is it going to be on the higher side or on the lower side? And then one of the things that Richard discussed a few weeks ago at one of the meetings is that it's turned into a buyer's market. And he was suggesting to list it 2 to 3% below the last sale to generate more interest. Holden just had a listing that he put on the market for, I think about $100,000 below, between $75,000 to $100,000 before the last sale, below the last sale, maybe even more. And he got like, I think almost 30 offers.
Wow.
At the broker's preview, he had people going in and out. The open house weekend, he had tons of people in and out. And he listed it below what the market price is.
Did you get more than that?
Oh yeah.
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 Did they start bidding? Or
Well, no, they just, everybody submitted their offers.
then somebody might submit a little bit more to get that offer.
And sometimes agents will say, you know, what do you think I should come in at? And if you're a listing agent, you can say, well, better come in above asking because we've already got a bunch above asking.
Can
You
you
don't
do
have to
that?
tell us. You can.
I
Yeah,
got
unless
it.
your seller specifically says, don't tell them.
Mhm.
You can tell them. You can even say, because you want to get the highest price for your seller. So why not say, hey, I got one for this price. So,
That's
you know,
cool, yeah.
if you want to come in higher, that's what you have to be. And maybe you don't want to do that because maybe it'll discourage people from submitting their offers. So it depends.
What if they ask you, do you have any offers on the table? And then you don't? Do you just be upfront with that, or do you?
Yes, I would be upfront about it, yeah.
You don't want to lie about it and say, oh yeah, we have an offer at asking price. You don't.
I've
No, I'm
had
just saying.
agents lie to me before,
Uh-huh.
you know, and you have to learn how to hear people on the phone.
Mhm.
And then I'm like, oh, sure.
So they usually say,
They're calling me, saying, where's your offer? And I'm like, oh, well, you said you had a lot of offers. And they're like, oh, well, you know, the other ones didn't work out.
sometimes they say,
I'd ask you price.
or sometimes they say, oh, I have 3 offers coming this afternoon. Do you have any?
Right.
No, I don't. But they're coming. It's like, okay.
Are you
Yeah,
just-
Yeah, that's what I said. A lot of
Yeah.
them, do you have any offers? Do you have any offers?
That's not
No.
an offer.
And then they were like, why?
Why?
I'm like, why? Well, there's
Why?
gonna be
Questions. Why do you have Because they wanna looking for the price, and because you wanna look how competitive. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
If you don't
buyer-
have any offers, they might lowball the offer.
The buyer agent wants to know how competitive. House is really
Yeah.
competitive, they're always like, I said.
Stuck in traffic.
Or the other side, of it, if you have 20 offers, they're gonna be like, you know what, let's not even bother, we already have 20 offers.
Sometimes your clients don't like that. They don't like so many offers. So you have to follow your client a little bit. Because it discourages them. Nice.
Any questions on this, on any of it?
Like, but generally you said that it's okay to give some information to the buyer, like say that, like, yeah, we have this offer and then. Just giving general information is okay, right? In this.
Yeah, you can, it's gonna be up to your discretion on how you wanna handle that.
Yeah.
But yeah, some agents will say, because they wanna get the highest price for their client, right? So they're gonna say, yeah, I already have 3 offers over 1.5, just to let you know what you're competing against, and then maybe it'll push that agent to submit 1.525,
Mhm.
if they really want the property.
You have to do it quickly, huh? Because sometimes when the offer comes in, they say, okay, you have 3 days to respond to this offer. So they don't, so like, say you're on the 3rd day and someone says, hey, do you have any offers?
Well, so let's say somebody calls me today and they ask me, do you have any offers? I say, I don't have any offers right now. I have other agents say they're gonna submit offers, but I haven't gotten any, so at this point I haven't. And then after I receive the first one, you bet I'm gonna call that agent and say, hey, just to let you know, I received an offer. So if you're gonna submit because we have 3 days to review this offer, right?
Yeah.
100%.
So-
Or 2 offers come in, call those other agents or email them, say, hey, text them, hey, just to let you know, we received 2 offers, so if you're gonna submit.
So do you take their numbers or go back and talk to them and say, hey, we did get an offer, so.
Well, their number's gonna be on your
Oh,
phone, right?
yeah, okay, so
You
you
just have
go
to
back
remember
and
which
tell
number
them.
it was.
Yeah, okay,
I think transparency.
That's a good
and
idea.
Honesty is actually really.
yeah, I never liked that. They're like, do you have any?
Because like, for example, like right now, I called up an agent 2 days ago, said, hey, we saw this house, kind of interested. And he says, well, I'm in counters right now. He goes, but I don't know how it's gonna go. He was being honest with me. I don't know how this is gonna go, Gina. He's like, do you guys wanna come see the house? I'm like, maybe. And so, 24 hours later, I said, when is your counter due? He's like, tomorrow, 11 o'clock in the morning. All right, give me a ring. Boom, 12 o'clock, he sends me a note. BCO didn't come, like the buyer did not respond after
Yeah.
3 days. So that means they're pulling out of the offer, basically. They're
Yeah,
no
yeah,
longer
yeah, yeah.
negotiating anymore, basically. So then we're gonna go see it tomorrow. So it's just like, I think, he wants me to come see the house.
Yes,
He
of
doesn't,
course.
he's been honest with me. He wants me to, I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is a really transparent agent to work with, do business with. So it'd be nice to work with a nice agent that's honest, not trying to like, portray a different picture on the house.
I mean, this is the
I feel the
benefit of
same
your
way.
seller to be sneaky about things,
That's
You
what-
want other agents to want to work with you.
Right,
You want to make the transaction as smooth as possible and not play games and just, like Gina said, be transparent.
I feel the same way.
The last time an agent lied to me about an offer and I was 100% sure with it, I just told my client, I said, she told me there's a lot of offers, but I don't really believe her. And he's like, really? How come? And I just said, I could just tell. And then I go, let's just watch the house. It's not gonna go into escrow in like the next week. Didn't go into escrow. She's calling me back. I tell my buyer, oh, that agent's calling me back now. He goes, what happened to her offers? I don't know. 'Cause I don't really know what happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about any agent. I never do. But it's just one of those things where like, it's just best to be honest
Your
and
gut,
transparent.
yeah.
In my opinion.
Okay, so another thing we might want to do to compare what our suggested list price or range is go to Zillow, see what they're suggesting. So let me type in the address here. First link is going to be Zillow and see what their estimate is and see how far off they are, or maybe they're not far off, but most of the time they are. 843, 600, that's
That
That's it.
Or is
Well,
it
it's 1,000 up.
this is their estimate.
Wow, it's not that good, so I didn't see exactly.
It's below even the range.
Oh, you're.
Yeah, it's below the range. So
I see one that says 886. But it doesn't say the
on
unit
Zillow,
number. Doesn't say the unit number though. It's 1,076 square feet. Let me try to put it.
But I've noticed Zillow is estimating lower than what you think.
well, see, and that's another thing that you have to bring up if the seller, when you're at the listing presentation. If they bring that up, well, Zillow says it's worth this much. Zillow has an algorithm set up that it goes like a mile outside, or mile range around the property, radius around the property, and it compares all the prices and all the properties, but it doesn't compare like properties. It can compare, single family versus a condo. It could compare something that was built in 2020 versus something that was built in 2010, or maybe it compares a 3-bedroom with the 2-bedroom, but it's the same square footage. So it's just an algorithm that says, take all the data around 1 mile around this property and then give me a price for it. And it doesn't do what you do. You're comparing actual similar properties.
If I could just say something real
Yeah.
quick, I think, I don't know about the algorithm, I'm sure very smart people work on it, but I think it can't account for how nice the house looks at the curb appeal.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that Zillow can't do. So I feel like if you come in there and like assess the inside, be like, this is much nicer, not nicer, that's kind of where I feel like a human can do it.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah. Not to mention, you can give them recommendations. You could say, hey, I would paint the living room walls because everything else looks nice, but the living room's just, the colors don't, you want to attract multiple buyers, right? So you want to have neutral colors, because if the way you have it now with dark colors, it might not look as appealing as it would if you had lighter colors, right? It just makes it look bigger. So then you have suggestions, recommendations to make the property look more presentable or more appealing.
Maybe check the Redfin as well, or just Zillow.
Redfin has their own too. Every website has their own. So like Redfin's right there. It's even lower.
There's no.
But Zillow's by far the most popular.
Yeah.
They have a range too.
Oh, big range.
That's a big range.
Yeah, it is a big range.
That's weird.
Anyway, so that is how you do a CMA.
So you give this to your client, you just take out all the other text pages.
Yeah, I would print everything out and then just keep whatever you wanted there.
There's numbers and all this thing.
There's a page in there that talks about timing versus pricing versus timing.
Right.
And I think that's a pretty good one because it gives them an idea. I don't have it in here, but let me go back and should be an edit. Oh, I'll just go ahead and customize. Going back. Customize. Guidance. Let's see what this is here. See, it's just like stuff to read. Houses. See what this is here. This is not it. Anyway, you can look through these and then just find the pages that you want to use. Yeah. So I guess we'll end it there. And again, next week we have Maria, she's one of our agents here. She's going to give a class or just a presentation on what she does for a listing presentation during the listing presentation, how she prepares for it, what she brings with her, how she starts from the knock on the door all the way through the listing presentation. So,
Mm.
yes,
So, thank you for this presentation. And this, you explained to us about the seller's point of view. It's the same thing too for the buyers too.
yeah, so thank you for bringing that up. So if you're, just like Rich was talking about in the office meeting this week, if you're showing properties and your buyer is interested in making an offer on a particular property, say you showed 20 properties, like, I like this one, and then they ask you, what do you think we should offer? You're gonna go in and do a CMA and show them, look, this is what the recent sales are, and then what they sold for. Now knowing that information, how much would you like to offer? Because ultimately, it's gonna be up to the buyer.
Right. Here, this is Cloud CMA.
Yeah, but you don't have to do expires, you just wanna do just the sales.
This is sales,
Yeah.
for the sales one, and okay, this because with this information.
Yes,
And this, I suggest first my price, or I have to wait.
no, you wanna do research first, and you don't
Yeah.
even have to do the whole CMA. All you have to do is just pull up the listings,
Right.
the sales,
Uh-huh.
and say, look, print it out, or, you wanna show them evidence, you don't just tell them, you wanna show them, hey, look, these are the ones that sold, this is how much they sold for.
Mhm.
And if you wanna print out the full report where it shows all the pictures,
Mhm.
this is what the properties look like,
Mhm.
and then let them decide what they wanna offer.
I see.
Because, let's say the property's on the market for $1,050,000. And they're like, I don't wanna overpay, I don't wanna underpay, what do you think it's worth? I can tell you exactly how much it's worth. These are the recent sales, so it's gonna be between this and this, how much would you like to offer? If you wanna be aggressive, you wanna go on the higher side, if you wanna room for negotiation, you wanna go a little lower, and then maybe you get counter offers and so forth.
Mhm.
But it's also gonna depend on how many offers they receive. If it's like a popular area, that they had a lot of traffic to the open house, that there's gonna be a lot of offers, and you wanna be more competitive, so it all depends. And sometimes you can call the agent and say, hey, what would it take to get this? And sometimes the agents will tell you, hey, this is what my seller's looking for, if you can do this, we'll accept your offer right now.
Even if it's lower than their asking price?
They won't tell you that. Sometimes they will, depending if it's been on the market for a while. They'll say, "Hey, look, come in at this price, and we can make it work."
Oh.
Yeah, so it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing to say? Oh no, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. But you have a lot to gain if they say this is how much you should come in at.
It's a sold deal.
Yeah, they want to sell it too.
Yeah,
They
they
want
want
to sell
to
it
be
too.
done with it.
And plus, going back and forth, with all the counters, it's a pain sometimes. But it's great knowing exactly how much.
Yeah.
You submit it, they accept it, it's like, okay, let's open escrow. Any questions?
No, I'm good.
Does it make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so we will see you guys next week.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.